So good morning, everyone. This is David speaking from Leister Academy. We will wait another 2 or 3 minutes before we start.
Okay, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Bonjour.
English.
This is again David speaking. Before we start, I can highly recommend that you look for my name in the participants list. Please look for my name in the participants list. Should be on top, David Sender, and right next to my name you will find 3 dots. Please click on these dots to pin my screen. So look for my name in the participants list. My name should be on top. On the right hand side you will find 3 dots. Please click on these dots and pin my screen. This will enlarge the display in front of you. Thank you.
Actually, you can find David under his last name, Sender, starting with a Z at the bottom of the list. Or you click in the screen on the 3 dots of his video screen, and then you click on pin.
Ich werde jetzt dann gerade die Kamera einschalten. Die Kamera da. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone online. I hope you can now see myself and the plastic fabrication expert right next to me.
Hello, everybody.
My name is David Sender from Leister Academy, and on behalf of the business line Plastic Fabrication, I would also like to welcome our expert.
Thank you, Dave. Hello, everybody. My name is Rito. I'm the product manager for all the extruders, the segment plastic fabrication. And today we will have a meeting to repeat a little bit the Fusion 1, the segments where we want to sell it, and also some functions you may not already know. Okay, thank you. And then we will start with the presentation. Dave, please.
Yes, so give me a minute, then I will start with the presentation. I will talk about rules of play, at the beginning, and then after that we will officially start with the product presentation. Enjoy the session, so talk to you later. So that's me again. I'm now in the background as a host, and I would like to start with the content of the web meeting. So Rito will talk about place product setup of the Fusion 1 product. At the end, of course, we will have a Q&A session in order to answer your questions. The session will last around 50 to 60 minutes. Our objectives for this session, so we will give you a good support in order to increase your sales performance. After the session, you know how to demonstrate the Fusion 1 in front of customers. You know the key features of the Fusion, the main applications, and where to find potential customers. And overall, of course, you become more proficient with this session. Rules of play, as we do every time, we will record this session. Please switch off the camera and mute your microphone during the session. We have implemented specific time slots for questions. And of course, you can always share your inputs and expertise. For questions, we would like to have this in the chat function. So please enter your questions into the chat. So during the time slot Q&A, we will come back to your questions in the chat. Let someone speak. Be active, engage, contribute to an open dialogue. And after the session, you will receive all the documentation, including the recorded file and the presentation. For customer projects or specific issues with customers, we highly recommend that you contact us individually and not to be discussed in this meeting. What I would like to have, I will show you now. You see now my desktop and my Microsoft application, Microsoft Teams application. So for a better view, you will find the navigation bar at the bottom center. So please go to more action. With more actions, you can enter full screen. This is a nice feature in order to enlarge the display in front of you. Also, please look for my name in the participants list. The participants list you can access on the left-hand side to the red box here. So please open up the participants list, look for my name. Right next to my name, David Sender, you will find 3 dots. Click on these dots and pin my screen in order to have a good view to the live demonstration later on. So I would like to hand over now to Rito. He will start the presentation and enjoy the session.
Okay, let's start with the presentation. Just a moment, please. Now it should work. Dave will show his screen and restarts the PowerPoint. Takes a few seconds. Okay, here we are again. Okay, now we should be ready. Thank you, Dave. So first slide, please. It's always important where we want to sell the Fusion One. We already recognized when we developed this tool that we will targeting different segments. Still, the most important segment, also with the Fusion One, is plastic fabrication. Okay, on the left side. What is it seen for? Fusion One is seen in plastic fabrication segment as an additional tool to other fusions as example, or to the bigger weld plus as example, to weld small details like around connections, pipes into corner, then also for very tight welding conditions. So inside a tube or inside a small tank, it's much better to have such a small tool compared to a big sized Fusion 2 or 3C, whatever. And but it's also very important we also see the Fusion One instead of multi-layer hand welding seams. Okay, so normally it's very economical to use hand tools for single layer welds, speed welding or draw welding. But as soon as you have to make multi-layer welds with a hand tool, you are much more competitive with a Fusion One, because with a Fusion One you just have to make one layer, one seam for the same strength, to reach the same strength like with a multi-layer hand weld. So that's a very important hint for you as sales person. Then also compared to other products on the market, the Fusion One fits also perfectly to go outdoor on construction sites, because all the design of the Fusion One, it's really made for going outdoor, and it's made to let it run on a generator. So that's also great. So typical customers, when you see on the bottom here, typical customers are plastic fabricators, tank builders, ventilation system companies, and of course, water treatment constructors. Then the next important segment, this is plastic repair. For plastic repair, it's getting more and more important all around the world. Sometimes it's a little bit going up and down with this business. What we realize here, this business is not. It's even in you can find it more or less in every country. So, as example, to repair wheeled trash bins here it's a big business here in Europe, as example, or also to repair plastic pallet boxes or crates for the food industries, as example. Then also boat repair, rental boat repair, as example, also canoe rental companies. They also have quite often some hand welders or small extrusion welders to repair their boats. And also, at least the plastic repair, plastic fab repair means if a plastic fab company has to go out to repair a customer's project, then they want to have normally just a small extrusion welder to go there to repair some small details, and they don't want to carry a big extrusion welder with them. So where can we find these customers? As example, waste management organizations like big cities or recycling companies, logistic companies also important, close to the food industry. Normally, agricultural industries, as example, companies, they produce melons or oranges or olives or potatoes, whatever. Normally, they transport their goods into big plastic crates and containers. Sometimes they get hit with forklifters, and they really appreciate to repair these boxes, and at least, as I already told, canoe rentals. Next, it's not yet very well discovered, but we know there are all around some customers, plumbing installers. Normally, for plumbing, you have just pipes and standard fittings, but quite often and more for customizing some special applications and solving some detailed problems, customers are using hot air welding tools to make these special requirements to solve these special problems, and therefore small extrusion welders are appreciated. Like here also you see on this picture that this is a wastewater pipe, and they need to make a T connection to another pipe, and it's not possible to solve with a standard sleeve. So therefore, a hand welder or an extrusion welder is absolutely necessary. So customized installations, special construction because of tight situations. Also leak repair can be easily made with an Fusion 1. Then in these days, especially in Corona times, we have seen on social media channels, customers produce plastic sinks, mobile plastic sinks that you can easily produce with plastic sheets and pipes, and so it's also seen. Then sewerage systems to extend sewerage systems to repair it, whatever. Typical customers could be plumbers, furnace installers, agricultural industries, and also cities and communities, because normally also these organizations, they repair and service plumbing installations. Then we go to the next, piping. But it's a special type of piping. Here about this piping application, we talk about jacketing, means the outside layer of special pipes. These pipes normally are used in district heating. It's quite often used here in Europe, and also a growing business. But not just district heating, also in the general industry, petrol stations, so in the chemical industry, oil pipelines, all these kind of pipelines, or most of it, they have in the center, there is a steel pipe. Then they have an insulation with polyurethane, and on the outside, there is a coverage with a polyethylene pipe. And these pipes, they have to be welded because they have to be tight, watertight, to protect the whole system against moisture. And also normally they have a leakage detection inside these insulations. So these piping applications, normally they weld connections with the extrusion welders, as you see also here on this picture. And in the past, quite many customers used Weldmax. Maybe you remember the old extrusion welder was the first Leister extrusion welder that was used in this application. Now we also designed some features on the Fusion 1 to fit exactly into this application. So typical customers are pipe installers, pipe manufacturers, petro industry, and also here cities and communities. Now the last one, as you already see on the slide, it's green highlighted. It is still a big question mark, and Leister here out from the headquarters, we already started some tests and talked to different membrane manufacturers. There is a question mark about roofing. What we see quite often, the roofing installers, or some of them, they don't trust not just on their weldings. Some of them, they try to repair or try to apply also a silicone glue. But as you know, it is always not the best idea to put another material on a roof. So maybe in the future, we will also see more often a Fusion 1 on the roofs to apply an additional welding and not to make the whole welding, just as an additional, as example for corners or T-joints or also skylights, to make a second layer, a second weld, just to get a little bit more security and to make it better proof. Okay, but here only two materials are possible to weld with the Fusion 1. It is FPO and TPO. Also no PVC, and of course also no bitumen. Okay, that would be for roofing installers. So now the question always, the big question is how to find these potential customers. I know it's always hard work, but everybody wants to grow. We want to sell more of our tools. And now here on these slides, on the following slides, we like to explain some possibilities to find customers. And it's not just for take it not just for plastic fabrication, take it also for other segments. But first of all, it's always analyze your existing customers database. So maybe you have a CRM system or another database with all your customers. Go through this list and have a look on buying and sleeping customers. Then next point would be search customers across the different market sectors or applications, because also here Leister has a huge assortment of different tools and components. Maybe you have from another application or so customers, they could be interested also into a Fusion 1. So don't check not just plastic fabricators, go also over other customer. Maybe you realize that you already have some plumbers as example in your customers list that could be interested in a Fusion 1. Then at the moment, a little bit a problem worldwide, exhibitions and events. But we hope at the end of the year and next year for sure that will be again possible after this COVID crisis. That's always also important. We know exhibitions and events. And also the last thing we highly recommend, go and check your social media channels, and not just yours, maybe also the social media channels from plastic fabricators or from plastic manufacturers, sheet manufacturers, pipe manufacturers. These channels are also interesting to check for new customers, potential customers. So first, search in your existing customer database. Of course, all the customers who already got in the past an extrusion welder, they are also potential customers for the Fusion one. But first of all, focus on the WeldMax customers, because as you know, quite soon WeldMax, also the spare part guarantee will be finished. WeldMax is already since 2 years out of the market, but there are still many customers, they love this tool and still have run some of them, and maybe again contact them and offer them the Fusion one. Then also WeldPlus S1 customers are potential customers, and of course Fusion 2. Maybe not the WeldPlus S6 customers and S4, but you never know. Maybe also these companies, they prefer to have an additional small extrusion welder in their equipment. Then also before I explained you about multi-layer hand weldings. Now, TRIAC or diode with minor as example and welding pen. With these tools, you produce very easily hand welds. But now maybe you have customers in your list. They in the past they just bought some hand tools, but they do multi-layer weldings. So there would be the potential to offer a Fusion one instead of multi-layer weldings. Then also I go through buying customers. They buy, as example, welding rod from you, or speed welding nozzles, heating elements, scrapers, and as example, drawing or tacking nozzles. Okay, these could be interesting for you. That's normally a good solution to get to the potential customers if you go through your customer database. But also search by market segments. Means first check who is in your region doing plastic repair. Here, this is the sample for plastic repair. Check in your area if there are companies that do plastic repair, but not just plastic repair. Maybe you know companies, logistic companies, they have hundreds or thousands of plastic pallets or plastic boxes or crates, whatever. They will be also interested into a Fusion one. So search by market segments. Now, of course, you could go through all these different market segments, but I think plastic fabrication, you already know most of your customers quite well. But plastic repair, maybe you have to do a Google search to find plastic repair companies or logistic companies. Also the fish industry, food industry, agricultural industry, they are mostly very interested into plastic repair to save money instead of wasting, throwing away these plastic bins and constructions. Plastic repair, as I already explained a bit before, the big potential plastic repair to refurbish plastic bin and containers. So here a nice sample on the right side. Also this big pallet box, they have to replace the foot of it, or sometimes they hit with the forklift some holes into the walls. Also down here, a cracked wall, cracked stand on a plastic crate. They are easily to repair with an Fusion 1. So it's much more, what are the arguments for plastic repair? argue to your customer. It's much more ecological than just to burn it as example or whatever. It's reducing plastic waste, and the biggest argument is save cost with repairing, because such big pallet boxes or wheeled trash bins, they cost quite a lot of money. And if you can repair them and bring it back into the cycle, you can save, or your customer can save quite a lot of money. And this is always, maybe you have to make a small calculation with your customer together, because normally after maybe 100 or 50 repaired plastic bins, big plastic bins, it's already worth to invest into a Fusion One. Okay, plastic repair, that was it. Plastic repair, again here, internet research. Use keywords as example, like plastic bins, plastic repair plastic containers, whatever. Also have a look on manufacturer of plastic bins. Maybe you find out who are the customers of these plastic bin manufacturers. Here, my colleague made a small research on for UK and so here for Europe, and he found quite quick many different manufacturers. They produce such bins, but also companies they repair. So have a look on that, and it's so easy on Google Maps and Google itself to find many different companies. And also on fairs, maybe go once and have a look on a logistic fair, not as an exhibitor, but as a visitor. Go there and have a look, because also there you'll find maybe potential customers or at least manufacturers, and you'll to grow the business. Okay. Here again a sample how you could look after that. So example on the right side, logistic and transportation companies, then public services, sports equipment, also playgrounds and sport parks. Yeah, these days, like bike parks and winter parks, water parks, they are using plastic, and also they appreciate to repair. Automotive, the automotive industry, they are using quite often huge big plastic bins to transport their goods like gear and motor to the next facilities. And these bins, they cost quite a lot of money, and they appreciate normally to repair them. General industry, and also huge potential is seen in the agricultural sector, like for food farming, like orange, potatoes, melons, olives, whatever. Okay. So let's go over to the product, function and feature, accessories and USP. I hope you already have some experience with the Fusion One, but here we go again through these points. First of all, the Fusion One is the only extrusion welder with an additional removable handle. Okay, the handle down here. Normally, I recommend to use the Fusion One without the handle. So also when you get a Fusion One and you open the box, the handle is in the box, but it's not already mounted. It's not on the tool itself. It's just in the box because we want to motivate you and your customer to use first the Fusion One without this handle. The handle is really seen as an additional component. You will feel you will get a good experience without the handle, because the Fusion One is so handy and small that you will easily work without this handle. The handle is seen for plastic repairs, example, when you need to weld the cracks on plastic bins, example, when you need a second hand to hold together these broken parts. But for all the other applications, the handle is not really necessary. But when you sell one or demonstrate one of the Fusion Ones, that will be one of the first questions. Where is the handle? How can I mount the handle? But please first demonstrate without handle and let the customer try the tool without handle, because it is the big benefit of the Fusion, one of the big points of the Fusion One, to use it without this handle. Then to the other arguments, real USPs. Up here, these are the real USPs. The Fusion One is the smallest extrusion welder that operates 4mm welding rod. There is no other extrusion welder on the market that operates 4mm. Normally, or all the others, they operate only 3mm welding rods. So why is it important? Because in these days, most customers, they just want to have one diameter of welding rod in their company to save also money, and they don't want to have different shapes and different sizes of welding rod. And in these days, 4mm, it's more or less standard. Then the next important argument, the Fusion One needs only a power cord, no external air or no external power box. So you just have the power cord with the plug, and therefore it's also very easily to take it to the construction site, and you are very flexible with such a small ergonomic tool. Then additional sales arguments. We have in front here the 360-degree rotable welding shoe. Then below the front filter clip, there is a hanging point. In here you can screw in an eye bolt to hang up the Fusion One to lift up the weight. Then typical for all Leister extrusion welder, we have a very ergonomic body. So also the back and the whole shape, it's really made, all the black and green parts are made to hold it everywhere and to push into the welding direction. And that makes it very ergonomic for almost every welding situation. Then also typical, that's also a Leister USP, the double side rod intake, left and right side, and you can choose 3mm or 4mm. But also here, important, just once on one side. So never ever use both rod intakes at the same time. Also an argument, on our tools, on the Leister welding extrusion welders, you don't have to adjust anything if you change from 3mm to 4mm. You just run out as example, diameter 3mm, and then you just change to 4mm without making some adjustments on the tool. So just change the rod, that's it. Then again here, the additional handle. Some like it, some don't use it. It's great for plastic repair. And also Leister unique, the direct access control means with one hand, you easily can reach it's a little bit too nervous. With one hand, you easily can reach the potentiometers, the red one for the heat, and then also on the right side, there is the black one for the output range, and the direct access for the drive button. Next feature that will be also in all the future projects, all the future extrusion welders, and operation light. We know it's not it doesn't solve any problem with the light, but it's a big help to support you in dark environment, or especially when you weld into a corner that gives you a little support with light, and you'll see a little bit more. But it's also a light that shows you the status of the tool. As example, when you heat up, as soon as the light turns on, you know the tool is now ready, the fusion one is now ready to weld. Also very important, that's frequently asked question about the welding shoes. That's the last point also on here. It has the same mechanical interface on the Fusion 1 like on the other fusions. That means all the shoes you are using on Fusion 3, 3C and 2, and also WeldPlus S2, you can use them also on the Fusion 1. But please make sure it has also it has to make sense with the size. So here we recommend only to use the smaller welding shoes and not the biggest ones. But the shoes from WeldPlus S2, Fusion 3C, Fusion 2 and Fusion 3, they fit also on the Fusion 1. Accessories. Of course, we have the standard shoes. You'll find also on the flyer or on the website or on the general catalog for the Fusion 1. They are all listed next to the tool itself. But we have some special accessories. Again, here we have on the left side angled welding shoes, because we realized in the past it is a real demand to some problems with angled adapters. The other extrusion welders for these tools, we have angled adapters, but here we have a new solution with angled welding shoes. So please check out in your documents these different angled shoes, and also it's highly recommended to solve any problems, welding problems with these great shoes. Then next, as I already explained, all these shoes here with this shape, they fit also on the Fusion 1. We recommend these shoes as example for heavy duty use, like for plastic repair, also for companies they are not very careful with the tools itself, because these shoes, they are so robust. We really it fits very perfect to the Fusion 1 and as example for plastic repair applications. Then we have a special V-seam welding shoe. This shoe is specially made for the piping industry, like for the district heating industry, for this jacketing application. Because with this angled shoe, it is possible to get closer to the pipe itself, and especially to go around the pipe. Normally, when you are on the construction site with these pipes, you have not a lot of space to go around the pipes, and therefore this shoe here, this particular type of shoe, it's a great help to solve these problems. Then the insulation sleeve. Also here, right from the beginning, we have already this insulation sleeve. Again, here different solutions for to insulate, to keep the heat into the heat. So for outside colder conditions, cold ambient temperatures, that's great. But not just for that, also to protect yourself against burning, or to protect the plastic constructions so you don't destroy anything with hot parts on the fusion welder. Then the standard accessories, I point on these here again because these tools are great to make sets. So as example, why not try to sell some and to create some plastic repair sets. As example, a plastic repair set could be a scraper, a pressing tool, maybe also a triac hand welder, and a fusion one. So these tools, normally you are always able to sell also together with a fusion one. So these are great accessories, but it's also great help for your customers. And also the scrapers, especially the scrapers, they are very loved on the market. And as you know, scraping is very important to remove the oxidation layer. With these tools, you also show the customer that we know something about plastic welding. Then here, the second last picture, you see a special handle. There was a special demand from a customer. They wanted to have a second extra handle, and we realized the spare handle from the fusion from the WeldPlast S4 fits perfectly also on the fusion one. So if you are interested in this handle as well, normally it's not used, but it's a good hint for you. Go to the spare part list of WeldPlast S4 and check out the part number for this extra handle. Then the angled adapter here, as you see, it's red highlighted, and this is because it is not really recommended to use the angled adapter for the WeldPlast S2 on the Fusion 1. But it works. We have some customers out in the market. They realized that they can use the WeldPlast S2 angled adapters also on the Fusion 1. It works, but you have to be very careful and you have to maintain the welding shoe very well. So this is one of the last recommendations to use this angled adapter, but be careful because also the airflow on the Fusion 1, it's not very high, and it's you have to work very careful, and then it works also with this angled adapter. But first, before you recommend this solution, please recommend the angled welding shoes like these ones here before you switch over to this solution here with the angled adapters. Okay, this is not officially recommended, but could solve in some points some problems. Then there is a design change going on. As you know, when we launched the Fusion 1 year ago, we recognized some problems with the welding shoe, so some Teflon parts came out. Right now there is a change going on. We added a retaining ring, the yellow part here. So the new welding shoes will have in the future a retaining ring in here to increase the strength of the Teflon part. Just as an additional info, they should stay much better into the shoe itself, into the base plate. So you will recognize in the future that we have a different system here. Okay, the next things will be how to program. So here we go just a little bit quick through this slide. I realized when I go out to the field, some sales engineers they struggle a bit with the programming the Fusion 1. They didn't even realize that it is possible to program the Fusion 1. We have two setups to program it. One of it is the temperature, so we can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And the other one is the BOSS mode. BOSS mode means here you can freeze the temperature. So freezing the temperature means that you, when you start, as soon as you start the Fusion 1 to heat up, it will go always on the same temperature. Okay, but you have to program it. We will do it afterwards in the live demo. So here we are just going quick through these slides. Then the next point is, or here it's a little bit more detailed, fixing the set point temperature. Also in the manual, you'll find in the chapter 7 how to set it up. Important is first to know for you that you choose the right temperature. The Fusion 1 is made for HDP, polyethylene, and for polypropylene, PP. These plastics, we recommend to weld them with a preheat temperature between 260 to 70 degrees, something like that. So first of all, you have to heat up the extrusion welder, or at least you have to set the temperature on 260 degrees. And then afterwards, you have to activate the BOSS mode, and that we will show. It's a little bit tricky because you have to plug in the power plug, and you also have to at the same time to press the drive button, and then you can go into the setting menu and activate the BOSS mode. And this is actually a great help, because then you never change during welding the temperature. So it will stay always on the same temperature. The hot air potentiometer will always have only two functions, switching off and switching on the heat. So that as soon as you fix the temperature with this feature, the red potentiometer will go only on off or the set temperature. Then another nice feature, some of you might already recognize it, switching off the air supply for corner welding. Actually, that works on all Fusion welders, not just on the Fusion 1. There is a switch on the extrusion welder, and it is normally not the main switch on the Fusions. It is just a switch to start the preheat blower. So when the tool is heated up, you can switch off this blower. Afterwards, I'll show you on a live demo how it works and what for this function is. Okay. Now we have to make some settings on the presentation. Dave is changing the settings. Just a moment, please, before we go forward with this show.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, just a moment, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yes, we have a question. We from Vietnam. Leister team in Vietnam. Yes. Nice to meet you. We have one.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me, Lily?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. We from Vietnam. First, just say hello to you. We have one question about the plumbing and the pipe.
Yes, please go ahead.
It seems they very familiar together because it's also the pipe. Am I right? Or what the difference? We would like to know the difference between the plumbing application and the pipe application.
Yeah. So the plumbing, normally the plumbing and the pipe application. What is the different? Pipe, we mean pipe in general is more or less this jacketing application. The outside layer of oil pipelines, as example, or district heating pipelines. They have in the center there is a steel pipe and then an insulation, and just on the outside there is a small thin HDP layer. So this is the pipe application.
Yeah.
Plumbing means especially for wastewater, as example, for sewerage systems, these standard normally black HDP pipes. But here you have to be careful. These are applications only for static pressure, not for high pressure applications.
Yeah.
Leister doesn't recommend to use extrusion and hand welders for pressure applications because the weldings are not that strong that you could weld details for pressure applications. So this is the different. Plumbing means really for wastewater, for sewerage applications, for sinks, and the other piping application means these pipelines, these pipeline applications.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, it's clear to us. Yes, thank you.
Some other questions?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Rito, there is another question from Gregor. He would like to know, or it's maybe more a statement, the heat exchanger falls out of the fusion one. Sometimes it blocks and it is hard to get it back on place. They had this a few times in service.
Yeah, the heat, exactly. Hi, Gregor. The heat exchange, that's a point. The first versions, they had this phenomenon a few times, but now the design was a little bit changed. And you also, normally it's no problem because the welding shoe keeps the heat exchanger on place. But the problem occurs especially when you change the welding shoe. And then you realize sometimes that that it was just at the beginning, or should have been just at the beginning, that the heat exchanger came off. But this problem should be solved because our design engineer, they made a change already on that. Okay. Next question. There's no question. Okay. Okay, if there is no questions, then we will switch over to the live demo. And Dave will change the camera. To make the presentation. Okay, Dave, please, could you exactly here we are. Okay, first to explain the next function. With extrusion welders, it is sometimes a problem to weld into corners, and especially thin-walled constructions. Here I have a sample for 8mm HDP. This is actually no problem, but on plastic crates or plastic bins, you have mostly just 3-4 millimeters plastic walls, and there is the danger a little bit of breaking through because of too much heat in the corner itself. So means as soon as you weld into the corner, you have a pillow with hot air, a lot of energy in the corner itself, and therefore we have a nice function on the Fusion 1 and also on the other fusions. During the welding of the corner detail, you can switch off for 60 seconds the blower. Then you weld around the corner and switch on the heat again. Okay, and that's we will show right now with the other camera how does it work and how you can switch on this function. Dave is changing the camera. Okay, here we are. So normally you start welding. We have already a temperature of 260 degrees. Now we start, please imagine we start now welding. We press the extrusion welder, the starter drive is running. Maybe you can hear it. And now we are welding into a corner. And now we realize we have a lot of energy in the corner, a lot of preheat energy. And now we want to switch off the preheat. And just very easy, switch off here, but the tool has to be running, okay? We switch off here. And now you see on the display, we have 1 minute left to weld this detail without any air. So there is no air coming out right now. The tool is still running. Now after this minute, we already have to switch on the preheat again. As you see also, the temperature is going down a little bit. Now we switch it on again, and here we are. The temperature, the preheat temperature, the airflow is coming back again. Then we switch off. Okay, again, this is a nice feature to weld into corners to reduce the preheat energy for a short period. So the period is at maximum, has a maximum set for 1 minute. And after, if we wouldn't be able to solve the problem in 1 minute, the tool will shut off, okay? So we have 1 minute time to weld a corner without airflow and afterwards switch it on again. This might be a function you have to try by yourself afterwards with a Fusion 1. It is really nice, it's a nice feature and could help your customers to solve some problems. Okay, Then we will go next to demonstrate how to program the Fusion 1. First of all, we switch on the tool. I've already done it. Then you set the temperature you want to freeze. So here I set the temperature now on 260 degrees. The tool doesn't have to be heated up. You can also try it without heated up before. And here we demonstrate it like that. So first switch on, set the temperature you want to wish to freeze, and then we unplug the tool. Might be not very nice to the tool, but for the moment it works quite fine. Dave will adjust me a little bit. So the same time we switch and press together with the drive switch here. So now you see on the display, it is not a standard display that is shown. Here we see now the unit. So here we can change between the temperature for Fahrenheit or Celsius. Now, to change the settings, we have to press this button here for 2 seconds. But if you want to go forward into the menu, we just press the button for a short period, like I do it right now. Okay, just once. And now you see on the display the pulse mode off. What we would like to freeze the temperature means the pulse mode has to be turned on. Therefore, I press the button for 2 seconds. Now the pulse mode is on. Next, you see save. It is a question, do we want to save these settings? Yes, we want to save. And also here we have to press the button for 2 seconds. Okay, now you saw the software version and it takes 5 minutes to heat it up again. And now it will heat up to 260 degrees, how we made the setup. The potentiometer right now has only 2 functions. It goes up to the set temperature, or it has the switch off function. Okay, as you could see before, when you turn to position 0, it just goes into the cool down mode. As soon as we go over 0, it just goes back to the 260 degrees. So that's it. It is now it's showed how it works with programming and also this corner feature. Okay, now I switch off the tool and I hope you have already seen how it works and how easy it is to set this function on the Fusion 1. Okay, that's so far from my side. Dave is already checking the questions. And you could also change to the other camera afterwards.
So yes, yes, Rito, there is a question in regards to what will happen if you insert welding rods from both ends or from both sides? What kind of effect do we see then?
Yeah, the problem will be when you insert 2 welding rods from both sides, that the screw in here, the screw will have an overload. Means the screw will stuck in plastic. That might work for a while, but also it's not gentle for the motor itself. So the motor won't proceed after a while, this plastic. So afterwards, that could destroy the tool. And you might also dismantle all the extrusion parts and barrels here to clean out the screw, because this overload will the motor, the drive motor, will not handle this overload of plastic. The motor will be on a certain point too weak to handle this. So it's also not covered in the warranty. If you realize that someone used 2 welding rods on both sides, the warranty will not be covered in such a situation. So never do that. We don't recommend that on none of our extrusion welders. It's not a good idea to do that.
Okay, there is another question coming in. If we would like to have the perfect welding result, do we need to set the temperature always to 260 degrees, or can we vary with the temperature?
It is recommended for these HDP and polypropylene to use 260, 270 degrees, but it's also up to the material itself, because there are differences in welding rod, in the welding rod quality, also in the welding rod mixture itself. You might have a low density HDP as example, or a lower grade or a higher grade of HDP. There are also different kinds of polypropylene on the market, as example PPS, fire retardant polypropylene, and every material, every welding rod has a unique behavior, and so absolutely it is necessary sometimes to vary the temperature. So there is not just the 260 or 70 degrees. If it would be like that, then we would have not the possibility to change the temperature here on the tool. Okay.
There is a question from Mark from Middle East regarding preheat, automatic preheat. I do not quite understand your question. Can you unmute your microphone and ask, please? Hello, Mark. Are you still here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what is my first question? Sorry. You mentioned earlier that when you are doing the corner, you have 1 minute to off the preheat, right?
No, it's a little bit different. When you weld a corner, sometimes, especially when you have very thin plastics, like plastic beans or so, they are very thin and they have a small, thin layers, and these plastics, they melt, they preheat very easily. And there is sometimes the problem that you could break through with the extrusion welder, or also the welding seam goes through the walls. And to provide this problem, we have this function. You can turn off in the corner. When you weld into the corner, you have the possibility to switch off the preheat. But to weld this detail, you have only time for 1 minute. But normally to weld such a detail, it takes you 10 to 20 seconds. And afterwards, after these 20 seconds, when you already welded around, you switch on the preheat again.
In the display, it shows 1 minute, right? If
Exactly.
You will off in 1 minute, the machine will off by itself, because it will have the element, right?
Exactly. If you couldn't weld it in 1 minute and you forgot to restart the blower again, the tool will go into the cool down mode.
Okay, thank you.
Or it will heat again, so the drive will stop.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And there is another question, also from Mark. You entered, how can we, I think, if you enter, or if the customer uses 2 welding rods at the same time from left and right, how can we recognize that that this happened if the tool comes back for repair? So how can we see that the customer used two rods at the same time?
Please advise your repair team. Normally, when we realize that when you cut off the welding rod, it's normally just possible to cut it just on the shell, on the body on side here. So you will see always have a look into the two holes, into the two openings where the welding rod goes inside. If you see on both sides welding rod parts, that's normally already the sign. It shows you that they were using two welding rods on the same time. And the other thing it will be when you open the screw system and the barrel in there will be a lot of plastic, too much plastic. That's the other sign. But it's hard to really realize that they were used. But sometimes also when you go and visit customer, you realize also if they are using it on the wrong way. But that's normally the sign when you see inside here, and also on the same time on the other side inside here some short welding rod parts that they used it the wrong way. Okay, that was the last question.
Right.
Then I want to say thank you very much to joining this web meeting, this training, and I hope you could learn some points and appreciated this time. Okay, so far that's from my side. Thank you very much, and I hope I see you soon and make good business. Bye.